Hello and welcome back to Knitting Nicely. I'm Danielle Chauvet and today we're going to learn how to fix a mistake when you're doing Intarsia cables. So here you can see that I have done a mistake. I only have one blue, but I should have two like over here. So I'm going to have to fix that by moving these two stitches over to the left. And the way I do that is I just slip stitch all these stitches till I get to where I want to go. I just leave my working yarn here at the right side and I just slip across the work. And then I get to where I need to be. So all of these stitches are correct, so I don't need to worry about those. These next three stitches are where I need to do some work on fixing it. So I'm going to slip those three stitches right off of my left needle. And then I'm going to go down 2 rows because I've done a wrong side row incorrectly and I've also done a right side row incorrectly. So both of those need to come off and be reworked. So I've got one off now, and I moved that to the back, that working yarn that I just took off to the back. And then I'm taking that second row off, and you can see that loose strand there in the front. I'll eventually need to move that to the back so I can move my stitches. Now I'm going to pull out the white cable because that's incorrect. That's one row pulled and a second row pulled. Be careful that you only pull the number of rows out that you need to. So I pulled out a wrong row and then I pulled out a right row so that I can move my stitches over and cable them the way they should have been cabled on that right row. So now I need to move that strand to the back so that's out of my way. And there I moved it. Now I'm moving those 2 white stitches over so that I can do my cable. So I'm going to move the stitches over one stitch. That's a traveling cable. Now those stitches are in the right place. Yay! So now I need to work the stitches again using the ladders that I created when I pulled everything out. But first I need to untwist all those white yarns in the back because we'll be retwisting them the way they need to be twisted. But first we need to untwist them. So here I'm pulling out that white yarn. I'm going to pull that bobbin right through. And I'm just making sure that I've got the correct white yarn there, that I'm pulling the correct white yarn out. Now, this is where it comes in handy to have your Intarsia bobbins wound up in these little butterfly bobbins because they're really squishy, and when you make a mistake, you can just pull them right through instead of worrying about a hard piece of plastic bobbin. You can see that it slips right through really easily. Except for when it gets hung up with the loops on the needles, but that's easily fixed. Okay, so I've got that untwisted there, and then I'm going to untwist it on the second ladder and just pull it right through. Just pull that bobbin right through, squish it underneath, and now everything's untwisted. And now what I need to do is find which ladder is the first row that I need to work with, because you don't want to twist those ladders. So I've got 2 ladders. Which one is the first one? This one. Okay, so I'm going to work with that one. I'm slipping my blue stitch that I need to work over to the right needle, and then I'm using that lower ladder to rework that stitch. And then I'm going to rework the second, or no, I'm not going to rework that second ladder yet. First I have to retwist my white yarn because if I don't, then I'll end up with a little hole between my cable and my blue background. I don't want that to happen. So I'm pulling that bobbin back up through and just thinking about how I twist them when I'm actually working that row, because I want the blue to be under and the white to be over. And there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work over and as if I'm going to purl, because that's what the next row is a wrong side row and it should be a purl row. So I'm going to turn my work over and work from the back side, and I do need to twist that stitch, or twist that yarn around that one stitch in that ladder in the back, because that's what I would do if I was actually knitting this row. So you can see that that white yarn is going over the top of the blue, and then I'm just purling it and purling it. And now my stitches are fixed. I need to do one more blue stitch, but first I need to twist that white through underneath it, just like I do when I'm actually doing that row. Remember, we always put the yarn underneath, and so the blue would go over the white, since that's the next stitch, and then I'm reworking that extra blue stitch. So now I have the correct number of stitches for the row that I'm on, and I can look at the right side and see that I've got the white going in the right direction. I should have a live white on the right side because that's the direction I'm about to go. The live white stitch should be to the right, and that one is the live white stitch to the right. And then all I need to do is move all those stitches back over to the left needle, and I just slip them across purlwise so that I can start my next right side row with everything lined up correctly now. And that's how you fix a mistake when you're doing Intarsia cables. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and that you learned a lot, and that you can just fix your cables this way instead of having to rework the entire row. If you're enjoying watching Knitting Nicely videos, be sure to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all the great knitting tips. See you next time!